my beauties, welcome to today's video. So this is another continuation of my mental health series. So today's video is going to be about how to not compare yourself to others, because I know it's something that can be difficult because in life you kind of see everyone else in different phases. Some of your friends might have a house, some of your friends might have a car, some of your friends might be married, some of them might have kids. Everyone's just doing a lot of different things. Some might have degrees, some might have careers. So it can be a little bit difficult because a lot of the time you might take age into like consideration, like, oh well, at this age I thought that I would have, like, I thought my life would be like X, Y, and Z. Or sometimes if you have certain relatives or family members, they'll be like, oh hey, like Sarah has a new house, like why don't you have a house yet, or just things like that. So these are some little tips that I wrote down and that I wanted to share with you guys in regards to how to not compare yourself to others. And on my lips I have copper. I'll have it linked down below, so make sure to check out poshbychels.com if you guys want to purchase posh lip glosses for luxurious beauties. So I'm going to be leaning like this, but I'm looking down and I'm looking down on my notebook. So the first thing that I have is everyone has a different life path. If we all had the same life, our lives would literally be boring. So it's important that everyone's journey is different and everyone's life is different, because just imagine that, like, when everyone turns 18, we all get the same type of job, or we all get the same type of car, or we all just do everything in the same like, what is it, in the same sequence. Then it wouldn't be as exciting or as interesting, because it's like you already have, like, okay, well, this is what your life is going to be like, so you don't have any, like, anything exciting, any excitement. Yeah. So everyone's life is supposed to be different, so that's another reason to not compare yourself to others. Another thing is to be grateful for the life you have, or the things that you have. What's meant for you will find you, and this is kind of going into like affirmations and stuff like that. What's meant for me will find me. Even at times when you feel like everything is kind of going out of whack and going crazy, there's a bigger purpose behind it. So don't give up, just keep pushing through. Another thing is that with people's lives, like when you try to compare yourself to people, whether it's a celebrity or just like a friend or anybody, whatever, you only see the parts of their life that they choose to share with you, or that they choose to tell you. So you might not see all of the struggles that they went through to get to that point, or their life can be like cookie cutter perfect on the outside, but on the inside they still have a lot of things going on. So don't compare yourself, don't wish to have somebody else's life. Just be grateful for the life you have, and remember that a lot of the times not everything is always like butterflies and rainbows with people's lives. So don't focus too much on comparing yourself to someone else. If anything, you should be competing with yourself. You should be competing with the old versions of yourself. You should be focusing on how you can make changes to make yourself better into the version of yourself that you want to be in the future. I hope that makes sense. But you want to be like pushing forward and be like, okay, I used to be like this, or I used to not go to the gym and I want to be a better person and start going to the gym. Or, oh, I used to work doing this type of job, but I want to start putting in applications or taking online courses to build up my skills, because in the future I want to work at this big company or have my own big company. So just things like that are good, because instead of competing with somebody else, you're competing with yourself and you're making a better version of yourself. Because if you're working on how you can be better, you're actually getting something out of that. Whereas if you're competing with somebody else, you're not going to really like get anything out of that. I mean, you might get achievements and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of like self-hatred and things that you're dealing with on the inside as well, probably even like depression and stuff. So you don't want to focus on that. You want to focus on something that will have a positive outcome for yourself. So something that's important with like not comparing yourself is to celebrate others and to network with them if possible. So if you see somebody that you look up to, maybe try to reach out to them and see if they can be your mentor, or see if they can give you tips on how, you know, they were able to achieve that stuff. So instead of seeing somebody, comparing yourself, but like kind of resenting them and hating them on the background, kind of try to think of it like, I want to be hanging out with people that reflect me or the version of me that I want to become. So I want to have those people like in my inner circle. I want to network and see if they have any tips. And in general, you just want to surround yourself with people that kind of align with the things that you want for yourself and out of life. So if you're hanging out with people that are getting into trouble and have a high possibility of you getting into trouble, that can kind of like mess up with your future, can kind of be like the wrong place, wrong time scenario. You just never know what could happen. So instead, you want to be surrounding yourself with people that align with the type of future and life that you want to have. Another way to not compare yourself to others is to figure out what kind of things trigger you when it comes to like what you'll see and will trigger you into like starting to compete yourself with that other person, if that kind of makes sense, and try to avoid them. So let's say, for example, I'm following somebody on Instagram, and every time I see their story or their post, I'm always like, oh, like they're 24 and I'm 24, but I don't have a house yet, or I don't have this yet, or I don't have a car yet. So everyone is different. Some people might want to follow people because that kind of motivates them to get to that level. It kind of makes them want to like grind and hustle. And then there's other people that can see stories and start comparing themselves to others, and it kind of like makes them depressed and makes them upset. So if that is something that triggers you, then try to like limit your social media use, or like I said, like mute people or delete them, whatever it is that you have to do. But another important thing is to not rush. Don't try to rush through life. Don't try to rush growing up, because ooh, I wish if I could go back in time, which unfortunately we can't. There's so many things that I think I would do differently, or that if I knew what I knew now when I was younger, I would have done things differently. But I feel like everyone can probably say that. But don't rush through life. You will get where you need to be when you need to be there on God's timing. So don't try to stress too much about the future or the part on your life path, like where you are right now, because it's kind of like the game of life. You're still going to keep going and making your way up, and there might be like twists and turns, but everything is going to work out in the end. You just have to, like, if you will believe it, you will achieve it. I might do a video one day of like how I feel like I manifested my life in a way, but long story short, if you believe it, you will achieve it. If you talk it into existence, it will happen. So if you have a mindset where you're like, oh, I'm never going to be good enough and I'm never going to achieve anything, then what's going to happen? You're keeping yourself like it's kind of like you're pushing your head down into water and like kind of drowning yourself into negativity. Instead, you want to like uplift yourself and you want yourself to prosper. So speak positive things into yourself. And another thing for when it comes to like competing with others, how I mentioned, is like sometimes family members will kind of say like, oh, Sarah has this but you don't, or oh, like when are you gonna have kids, or when are you gonna get married, or when are you gonna move out. So the thing with that is like God knows our story, our purpose, and if you've had a difficult past, don't dwell on it too much, because God, like, everyone has their own relationship with God. Only you and God know what relationship you guys have with each other. I've been to church a couple times, and one of the church services was discussing like God doesn't focus on our sins, he focuses on our purpose, on our future, because God sees how bright your future is. He's the only one that can see it, not your mom, not your grandma, not your, like, only he can see it. So don't stress too much of what family says, because unfortunately a lot of the times our family members can be the ones to kind of like push us down. So with those people, make sure to keep them like a bay. Like, you can respect them, but don't always like be in their face and try to hang out with them, because if they're going to be putting you down all the time, why do you want to be around them? I know I wouldn't want to be. So last but not least, I just wanted to mention that it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there or to achieve it, to get that job, to get that house, to get married, whatever it is in life that you want to achieve and what you want to do. Because the only thing that matters is that you didn't give up, you worked hard, you hustled, and you achieved it. That's the most important thing. So for example, me, after I had my daughter, I took a year off and then I decided to go back to school. But whenever I do graduate, it did obviously take me a little bit longer than if I would have just did my bachelor's degree and then my master's right after, but the important thing is that I got that degree. And so yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope that this mental health series is useful for you guys, because I do like to jot things down and try to like help others. I like to try to uplift others. I'm the type of person that if somebody comes to me, I'm the type of person that I don't give advice unless you ask me for advice. But when you do ask me for advice, it's going to be very uplifting, because I just feel like, why try to push somebody else down and make them feel bad about themselves? I would hope that my friends, if I come to them like venting and asking for advice, they would try to uplift me and kind of take me out of my funk and kind of make me feel better. So for my beauties, I am hoping that I'm kind of that friend in your life, and I'm hoping that if you guys are struggling with anything and happen to come across my video, that after you guys watch this series and these videos, you guys leave with higher spirits and with some tips that you can use on yourself and also share with other people, other friends and things like that. Because it's like, why spread hate? Don't spread hate, spread love, spread happiness. And yeah, so I hope you guys have an amazing day, week, weekend, month, and year. Bye, my beauties.